All right, I'm back. So, we just took notes on all the different parts of speech. We talked about some tips and tricks to remember what they do. And now we're going to start looking at your guys' errors on your quizzes. Every single person's written response is going to be in this slideshow, but I'm not putting anyone's names in it. It is not your responsibility or anyone's to know whose writing is whose, okay? If you guess, whatever. I can't control that. Please do not go up to people and say, was this your writing? Because that's just counterproductive. And you guys all did your best, and I really appreciate it. The reason that we are talking about grammar is because almost all of the errors that you guys are making are grammatical errors. So let's take a look at some of these. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of work my way through it. There was a girl that was an important asset to her community. This is correct because this is a noun and this says an asset. Because of how smart she is, her whole community would see her in an admiringly way. The only thing that could change here was that it should be an and not a because this is a vowel. Details. She was an ornery girl, hence would sigh slyly at times. Hence is spelled wrong here, and slyly doesn't necessarily mean the same thing as ornery, so that one doesn't work. However, grammatically this is correct because slyly is describing this verb of sigh. How did she sigh? She sighed slyly. The guys in her community would gallantly get her car for her while she waited. This is correct. At first, she was very incredulous and vaguely about the way her community would treat her. Incredulous works here, but it's spelled incorrectly. And vaguely does not work here because vaguely is an adverb. But this person is trying to use an adverb as an adjective. Incredulous is an adjective because it's describing she. Vaguely cannot be an adjective because it's not describing she. It would have to be describing a verb. She vaguely did something. That would work, but you can't use an adverb to describe a noun or a pronoun. She was very nonchalantly compared to everyone in her community. So again, you cannot use an adverb to describe a noun. So you can't say nonchalantly to describe she. You could say nonchalant, which is the adjective form of this, and adjectives describe nouns. So if it said she was very nonchalant, that would work. Here's another one. His expression was incredulous as he. So we took out this part and we added was, because incredulous needs to describe a noun or a person, and it does. He was incredulous, so this is correct, but we needed to link these two with a verb. Otherwise, we would have pronoun, noun, adjective with no action in the sentence. So we always need to make sure that we're having an action somewhere. We have a person, we have a description, we have a noun, but we need an action always. So we need a verb right here. There was a young girl walking home with a big smile on her face. An old man saw her, and what's the big smile for? She replied with, my studying was very asset for my test. This is not correct because you're trying to use a noun. Asset is a noun because it's a thing, a useful thing. You're trying to use a noun to describe a noun. My studying was very asset for my test. You would need to use an adjective in this place. My studying was very helpful for my test. My studying was very useful for my test. Those words are adjectives, and they would describe this noun of my studying. That's a thing. My studying is a thing. Asset is a noun. Nouns can't describe nouns. So this would not work. The old man said to her, that is amazing, in a gallantly tone of voice. So here the context makes sense. The only thing that's incorrect about this is the grammatical part. So if it said, the old man said to her, that is amazing, in a gallant tone of voice, that would work because gallant without the ly is an adjective, which would be describing the noun of tone. tone of voice. Because this is an adverb, gallantly, it cannot describe a noun. If he said to her, that is amazing, gallantly, or said gallantly to her, that would work because gallantly would be describing a noun, or a verb, which is said. But as it is, this person is trying to use this word to describe a noun or the tone of voice, and adverbs don't do that. After the girl talked to an old man, she kept walking, so admiring after seeing an old couple sitting down. When she got home and told her parents how her test went, they were incredulous about it. Perfect. Because this is an adjective describing a noun, how her parents felt. Which, in my opinion, it thinks is very ornery of her to say that to her own daughter. So there's some, kind of confusion about what's happening here. Later in the semester, I would not give this person a point because that doesn't make any sense. Because we have no evidence of what is ornery or stubborn or bad-tempered. So I can't tell that she really knows what that word means. Because it's our first quiz, I accepted it, but things will get more difficult as we move forward. This person wrote a really long story, and I love it. I love it, love it, love it. Thank you so much for putting so much work in, and I really enjoyed reading it. My note at the top says, I see you know what the words mean. However, they're used incorrectly because there are grammatical errors. For example, there's two brothers named Ram and Ladu. Ram was very ornery, mean, a bad-tempered boy. This one is spelled incorrectly. That's the only reason why it wouldn't work. If it just said Ram was very ornery, that would work because ornery is an adjective describing the noun of this person, Ram. That would work, but she spelled it incorrectly. Ladu is very admiringly boy. This does not work because you're trying to use an adverb to describe a noun, which is a boy. And we know that words that describe nouns are adjectives, not adverbs. So the adjective form of admiringly is admirable. It's a whole different word, but it means the same thing. So if you said Ladu was a very admirable boy, that would be correct because it would be the adjective form of this word describing the noun. As it is written, you cannot use an adverb to describe a noun. Wrong is here, but Ladu went to that girl and gallantly, like a hero, she saved the girl. Perfect. This is used correctly because it's describing this verb or this action of save. They saved the girl. How did they save the girl? Gallantly. Very good. Down here, let's see. Tell his brother to calm down. After 1 week, Ladu go and talk to them, and she incredulous and trust Ladu words, then Ram and Sita. So this one doesn't work because it seems to me like you're trying to use an adjective as a verb. Then there should be an action here. Then she did something. But incredulous is not an action, it's an adjective, so that doesn't work. Sita gave her gold to sell, and that gold asset helped so much they got their house back. Okay, so this works because asset is a noun, and you're using the word gold as an adjective to describe it. The more accurate way would be to say golden asset, but this still works because gold does count as an adjective. Very good. I love this story. A couple more. On my work, the boss told me that I'm an asset. So this would work because asset is a noun, and a noun is being used to describe this person. I am a asset. However, you need an article. You always need an article before a noun. You could say I'm the asset or I'm an asset, but it needs to have an article. When I go home and talk with my friends, they tell me that they miss me because I'm not playing with them, but I incredulous. So this seems like this person is trying to either use this word as an action, but I did something. Incredulous is not an action, so that doesn't work. Or he could be trying to say, but I felt incredulous, which would have worked because incredulous is an adjective that could be describing I, the noun. However, the way that this person has the sentence, it does not work because it's trying to function as a verb. So you got to make sure that you're understanding the type of word that you're using and then seeing, does it work at this place in the sentence? Alrighty. Okay. I admiringly looked at this ball gown that caught my eye, but the whole family said it was so ornery. The faces made a look of disgust. But it would be an asset for me to bring it to the ball, just so everybody could look at how gallantly and beautiful it looks on me. Okay. I admiringly looked at this ball gown. Perfect. This is an adverb describing the verb of looked. That works. The whole family said it was so ornery. Yes, this works because this is an adjective describing the noun, which is this gown or it. Their faces made a look of disgust, but it would be an asset for me to bring it to the ball. Technically, this works. You know, the definition is kind of strange, but it still works grammatically. Just so everybody could look at how gallantly and beautiful it looks on me. So this doesn't work because we're talking about the dress. And we can't use an adverb to describe a noun. So we would have to use the adjective form of this word to describe the noun, which would be gallant. Everybody could look at how gallant and beautiful it looks on me. That's why we don't say beautifully it looks on me. We say beautiful because we're describing the noun it with an adjective. That's why you can't mix an adverb and an adjective with the same function. Also, gallantly doesn't mean beautiful. So there's an error in definition there as well. A woman is very gallantly an asset for anyone they need help. Okay, so a woman is very gallantly. Again, this is an adverb. So this word should be describing a verb. But this word, in the way that it's written, is supposed to be describing the woman. But we can't use adverbs to describe nouns. So that doesn't work. And asset for anyone they need help. So if we were going to keep this here and say the asset is a woman, that works. But we would need to put an article here. An asset or the asset. But all people used to treat her as ornery. So she used to feel every day she saw a man and he is very slyly. So this doesn't work because we're trying to use this word to describe a noun, which is the man. So if it said he is very sly, that would work. Or if we said he is walking very slyly, that would work because it would be an adverb describing the verb of walk. That would work. But as it is, you're trying to use an adverb to describe a noun. That doesn't work. One day she admiringly went to talk to him, and he treated her as slyly, so she is very kind. So she told everything to him. So this first one is correct. She admiringly wants to talk to him, and he treated her as slyly. This one doesn't work again because it's an adverb trying to describe like what he treated her like. So you could say like he treated her like an animal. He treated her like a princess. Animal and princess are nouns. That would make sense. But this is an adverb. If we removed the word as and say he treated her slyly, that would work. But this word as is kind of throwing a wrench in everything. Okay. So I do have one more example, but I want to just pause my recording real quick because I did not take this person's name out on accident. Okay, so let's take a look at these. This person knows the definitions of the words, and they made some corrections. Their original sentences were all correct. They just needed to replace one word in each sentence, but they got confused, so they can still make corrections on this. For example, this one is correct. When my father gave me my birthday gift, I am very incredulous, because this is an adjective. Incredulous is describing the noun of I. I am incredulous. This one says, my best friend was gallantly. Again,